It's a big Monday here. A big Monday. College football playoff bracket has been released. Obviously, a little bit of fallout from a Sunday of NFL football. I have found Caleb Lohner. I have a new documentary for people to watch. I have actually two new documentaries for people to watch. And, of course, the Cowboys play tonight in a game, by the way, which is much bigger than people want to acknowledge. It's a huge game for the Cowboys. We'll get to that in the second segment. We're going to start the first segment talking about the college football playoff. But before we talk about that, I found Caleb Lohner. So we all knew he was playing football at Utah. 4 catches all year long, 4 touchdowns. So in preparation for, I called the Utah St. Mary's game in Salt Lake City on Saturday night. In preparation for that game, we're talking to the sports information director from who did an amazing job. His name was John Vu. And so he was like, well, we were going through the roster and I was asking him some questions. This was on Friday before the game Saturday. And I was like, yo, what about Caleb Lohner? He was like, we got to figure that out. It was the only time the guy was like, just not sure as to what was going on. Yeah, I could tell. And I was like, so what's the story? He's like TBD. And then the next day, Saturday, we're at shoot around. And there he is, Caleb Lohner, who, by the way, now looks like the evil Caleb Lohner. He looks like Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan went heel. Like he's packed on like an extra 25, 30 pounds. He has a mustache, and the guy means business. Now, for those of you who don't know who Caleb Lohner is, he is a former Baylor basketball player from Flower Mound, actually, hometown of my girl, Christy Hunt. And he I guess he prep schooled somewhere. Then he was supposed to go to BYU. He didn't. Or no, he was supposed to go to Utah. He didn't. Went to BYU, transferred from BYU to Baylor, and then went back out to Utah, where he is now playing for the Utes after a season of playing football. It was up in the air whether he was going to play basketball. Here's why I wanted to brought it up. All that to say, Caleb Lohner was a boss on the basketball court on Saturday. They didn't even think he was going to play. He probably had 7, 8 points and like 7, 8 rebounds, but like all were like intense. The guy's playing an invigorated brand of basketball with his new mustache. So keep an eye on Caleb Lohner. The last time we were talking Caleb Lohner was Darby Brown was sitting here talking about him scoring a touchdown playing for Utah. But yeah, Caleb Lohner's the man. 2 sports stars, like the next Bo Jackson. So let's go to college football. First of all season long, as much as you can say like there's too much hype around the college football playoff prediction train and the college football playoff bracket and rankings, every Tuesday night, we knew we were going to get a nice, healthy serving of hype. And if they had kept it going, think about how excited we would be right now for Tuesday night, for the unveiling of the bracket. But no, you know what they did? They put it out at like 12:20 or 12:40. Which gave us 20 minutes before the NFL football games kicked off, which I think everybody was like, wait, what is going on? Now, I don't know. ESPN, college football, they're always so in tune with this stuff. So I was like actually kind of surprised, like, wow, I figured they'd get a little more pop from this. But because there was so much going on after Saturday's games. But no, they do it at 12:40. Okay, fine, or 12:20. So like there was a lot going on yesterday, and truly, as much as we are hyper focused on college football, and as much as we don't care about how this stuff is unpacked for everybody in the world to see, it was kind of like, come on, because I felt like the NFL owns Sundays, right? Owns Sundays. Outside of God, I'd say the NFL has the most power on Sunday, and so ultimately, like, it gets swallowed up in the sea of NFL football that still rules the day, especially Sunday, right? So I was surprised that it was released then because there's a lot to talk about. Scotty, let's get to it. Let's throw that bracket up there. Here it is, folks. Okay, now because look at that. We got Arizona State at 4. By the way, all the crap, everybody's like, oh, what about this? What about that? It's so funny. We have to remember, like, games actually get played and decide all this stuff. So that's what happened. And that's why we have these 4 teams. My first issue with this is truth serum coming from me. Boise and Arizona State being like in the top 4 is a little sketch. I'm sorry. That's just kind of how I see it. Like obviously you would put, if you were putting the 4 best. All right, Scotty, if you were putting the 4 best in there, who would you put in there? Scotty Swingler, ladies and gentlemen, college football enthusiast, host of the Bear With Me podcast.
Do you want my 4 best teams, or do you want me to tell you what I think about this format?
This format.
I like the conference championship having an incentive.
Yeah, but to this degree?
Yes.
To get a bye?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's good. So what do you make? No, go back. Put that back up there. What do you make of the ACC not having a team in the top 4? But getting 2 teams in.
Right. Yeah, I think that was right. I tweeted, I think the committee got this exactly right. I think they got it exactly right based on the format we have and the way the games were played. I thought they got, I really don't understand the people that have a jillion issues with this bracket. I think they got it exactly right.
Well, because spoken like someone who is, you like this. If you like the conference champion getting a bye, right? Like we see in these 2 cases.
Yeah.
Well, then,
if they don't get a bye and, like, let's say you're Georgia and Texas, if you're not playing for that bye, what are you playing for?
Yeah.
You're both in.
Uh-huh.
So I like to incentivize.
And what do you think about that now, Alabama being left out in favor of SMU?
Don't lose to 2 6-6 teams if you're the best team in the country. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I talked with my father about this. So when you have a 4-team playoff, the 5th team, the first team out, could, I think, reasonably argue maybe, because what are you playing for? You're playing to see who the number 1 team in the country is.
Yeah.
You're not playing to see who's number 4. You're playing to see who's number 1. And in a 4-team playoff, there have been years where the 5th team could reasonably say, I think we're the best, and we got left out. If you're fighting for the 11th or 12th seed, you're lucky to be playing for the right to be called number 1. Alabama, they could argue they're the 10th or 11th best team in the country. They can't argue they're the best. They can't.
Yeah.
They lost to 2 6-6 teams. So and maybe SMU can't either. But when you have a 12-team bracket, I think any team that reasonably has a claim at being the best team in the country is in this bracket, and then a few extra.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I do. I think this is the last year we will see this format.
Because ESPN's crying about it so much?
I just think it's the last year we'll see this format. I think it's the last year we'll see this format. I think it's flawed. I do.
So tell us what you think.
Well, I just think, look, I believe that you should have some, like Boise should be in, no question, but they should not get a bye. Okay. To me, that's a fatal is too strong of a word, but a fatal flaw of this. Like, Boise should not get a bye. They should get in, but they should not get a bye over even like Indiana, like over a school like that. Like, I think it's silly.
Boise won their conference and Indiana did not.
Yeah, but the Mountain West Conference sucks compared to the Big Ten. I mean, so.
But Indiana doesn't deserve a bye.
But I'm saying you can go down that low, and I think Indiana is that.
Okay, so wait, so.
And I think that they should get in. I think it should be almost like college basketball. They should have a spot in the tournament. There's no question, right? But they should not get a bye.
So you cover the Big 12.
Yeah.
Does Arizona State deserve a bye?
Yeah, because the conference is no, but you kind of got me there. That is.
I mean, honestly, I think so. I think they've earned it by.
I think they earned it Saturday.
Yes,
I really do.
Yes,
and I think I'm one of those old school football guys. Like, hey man, if they can't stop you, keep scoring. And guess what? Ultimately, that does help you. Yep. I'm not saying run it up on Abilene Christian, but at the same time, like you win a game like that in the fashion that you did. That's a statement, So I believe after that performance on Saturday, they should get a bye. But Boise getting a bye to me is indicative of issues with this format.
Okay.
You disagree with me, which is fine.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But so
I don't think it's perfect, but I think incentivizing teams to win their conference is a good thing. I think the further away we get, and I'm going to sound like old man on my lawn here, but the further away we get from traditional conferences, traditional rivalries, I think it hurts the sport. I, as a fan in Big 12 country, have no interest in 2 SEC teams and 2 Big 10 teams getting a bye. That's ridiculous. They didn't earn it. I like that your conference championship game can earn it for you.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I do. I like the being incentivized. I do. I truly do have liking these conference games mattering. I mean, we got hit with so much excitement over the weekend, really.
Yeah.
All the way from, the SMU Clemson game was amazing. Penn State coming back was pretty cool.
Think about this. So in your argument for, if you want to say, hey, let's give the top 4 seeds buys.
Yeah.
Texas and Penn State both lost their conference championship games, and then you'd be giving them a bye. Why? Like what? And by the way, Texas and Penn State have beat as many ranked teams as Boise State has, which is 0.
Scotty, if Boise State and Texas play tomorrow, what's your prediction for that score? I want you to be honest.
I'm taking Boise State by a field goal.
Over Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Who has Texas beat?
We're going to start drug testing around here.
Let's go.
I mean,
I've got all the. I think Arizona State's going to beat them.
Man, I don't. I see. This is where I get into.
If Clemson doesn't beat them first,
yeah, that could happen. Clemson could be. Clemson has the horses.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I think this is not like. I think this is going to be a situation where pull the bracket up one last time.
Yeah.
So who? And I know this already. Okay, so Boise State could play Penn State, right, in that second round game. Okay.
Penn State won't beat SMU, but we can talk about that too. I'm taking a lot of dogs in this bracket, Pete. I really am. This is what I'm not trying to talk over you.
No, I think this is great.
I get really excited. So the reason we wanted a 12-team playoff was for chaos to happen.
Yeah.
Was we are going to prove in the next 2 or 3 years definitively if that comment about horses is accurate or not. Because we've already talked about the transfer portal, NIL, it seems to have balanced talent, I think. And so
yeah, we've talked about that.
You're right. If this ends up being Georgia and Oregon or Georgia and Texas for the national title, and next year it's 2 SEC teams, you're right.
Dude,
maybe the SMUs and the Boise's can't.
I don't want you to think otherwise. I want Boise State to win. I like that. I am so in on Arizona State. It's out of control right now.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it in a world of football where there are just two
ESPN catered.
No,
SEC.
We're gonna see what happens. I mean, we will. And now I get this one. Christy texts me. I agree with Scotty. This is the only subjective way to run it because then it goes back to being too subjective.
Agreed. Totally agree with Christy.
Which is a good point. Like you don't. I don't love guys in a room getting to decide. You know what I mean? Like that always freaks me out a little.
Yeah.
But I think conference tournaments, conference championships should get you in. I think it is unfortunate that at some point we're going to have like for instance yesterday, like Texas losing, they still would have gotten a bye maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
there's no
incentive.
Yeah, I hate that.
All right.
Yeah. Because if I've got
but hold on. In college basketball, if I'm kicking ass all year long and I lose my conference championship game, I still can get a 1 seed.
There's a difference between playing 30 games in a season and 12, though.
Okay.
In my opinion.
All right, so
let's say Texas goes into that game against Georgia and Quinn Ewers is like he is banged up. He's got an ankle deal. Why would you play him if you're guaranteed a bye even if you lose?
Yeah.
What's the point of winning the SEC now Texas has to bring Clemson and they get them at home. That's the advantage to being a good team.
Yeah.
They're playing that game at home. Like that's because they're ranked high, right?
Yeah.
But now you've got to face Clemson to get the right to get to that next round because you didn't earn it in your conference title game.
All right, let's talk about, by the way, I like how you mentioned that because I want to get into something I saw this morning. Put the bracket back up, Scotty. So here is already, you want to know college football. So third market, whatever they call that, third party tickets buying, like SeatGeek, stuff like that. Already, so $746, the going rate for tickets for Clemson and Texas on SeatGeek.
That's the lowest.
Yep.
Yeah.
For Ohio State and Texas, the lowest is $500. This is as of right now. You ready? All right.
Ohio State, Tennessee.
Ohio State, Tennessee. Sorry. Yeah. $500. All right. Now I'll let you, I'll give you a shot on this. Indiana, Notre Dame, over under 1,000.
Is it over?
1631.
Wow.
$1,631. And then SMU and Penn State 333.
Yeah.
But so I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. Like, we get a playoff. How cool is that going to be?
It looks awesome.
It looks so cool. So all right, take it down now. I want to hear some of your predictions. Like cuz you were excited about this. So let's hear, like, what are your thoughts as to who will take this then?
Pete, I'm going to tell you something. I think Notre Dame is fraudulent. They haven't really beaten anybody. They lost to, was it Northern Illinois they lost to week 2? I know week 2 is a long time ago, but I just was talking about how much I respect the grind of a conference schedule, a conference championship game. Notre Dame gets to skate against all of that. USC sucked this year. Like, they really didn't play much. Pete, I'm going to throw up some highlights because I think my darling team of the season, the Indiana Hoosiers. I'm not saying they will win in South Bend, but I'm saying if they do win in South Bend, I am picking them to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. What? Absolutely. That is my big homer underdog take. I think they can do it.
So I like, by the way, I like this take a lot. I like Indiana in this game. Because I think that Notre Dame's huge advantage in a game like this was to get someone on, like, foreign soil. Like, you're playing in South Bend. It's freezing cold,
but it's like, an in-state.
Yeah. Now you got a team like a meat and potato squad from Bloomington making the short trip to South Bend.
Well, and I just think the way that Indiana did kind of have a reality check against Ohio State. The way they did have a tough second half against Michigan. Like, they've seen this level of physicality before.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Notre Dame has all season. Maybe Army. Like, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What were your thoughts about when it came out? Don't you think that was silly? I spoke about that at the beginning.
Oh, the way that ESPN did it? Yeah. Oh, well, it was silly. Having a former Alabama quarterback and head coach on your 6-person coverage to cry about Alabama was not good TV, in my opinion. And I think Greg McElroy and Nick Saban are both great normally.
Nick Saban's amazing.
Dude, did you see Brett McMurphy dropped the news 1 minute before ESPN went on the air?
Oh, he did?
Yes.
About the brackets? Like, he knew?
Yes. So Brett McMurphy,
former ESPN employee,
who I think was let go in a string of layoffs. Very, very well sourced, great reporter. At 10, so local time, 10:59, so 11:59 Eastern, tweeted, SMU gets the final seed, number 11. Alabama first team out of the college football playoff.
I saw that. I didn't know that he'd.
And ESPN didn't put it on the TV until 40 minutes later.
No way.
Yes.
So do people know that was verified, what he was releasing?
I think people trust Brett McMurphy. He does not tweet something unless he knows.
Yeah.
Like, he's the, in some ways, like the Adam Schefter, the Woj of the college football in some ways.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was hysterical. And it also made
What was your biggest surprise out of all this, out of these rankings or this bracket?
I think.
Were you surprised by the Notre Dame Indiana matchup? I was.
I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. I think that's a good match. I think all these first round games are incredibly compelling.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think they're all going to be very good football.
I think Penn State is going to beat the shit out of SMU.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I truly do. Yeah. I think in Happy Valley, I really do. And I could be wrong. I for whatever reason,
Is it the road environment?
yes, it's the road. It's the time of year. It's too lights, too bright, too big for SMU. That's my thought process on it. The Happy Valley is like quite the home field advantage.
That's true. No, that's valid.
It's going to be a really tough place to play. The Ohio State one, that will be tough for Tennessee. It's a night game. It's 8:00 on a Saturday night. Yeesh. You know,
but that's not too far of a trip either.
No, but well, look, there is so much you mentioned. Like,
but I'll just bring this up again. We're going to learn a lot because Penn State also has not beat a ranked team this season, and Ohio State made them look bad.
Yeah,
like I'm kind of surprised. I know they made the championship game. I would have ranked Ohio State above Penn State in the final. That kind of it surprised me a little bit. Penn State stayed above Ohio State, and it surprised me a little bit that SMU stayed above Clemson.
Yeah,
because I value, Baylor fan going all the way back to 2014, right? I value the head-to-head result a lot.
Yeah,
Penn State has not beat a ranked team, so you're right. They could come out and just wax SMU. I think they will. That would not surprise me. It also would not surprise me if SMU wins that game by 2 touchdowns.
Well, and let's revisit one thing, because I got to give you your just due. I was in on Arizona State. I mean, I sat here in a goddamn Cam Scatterboo jersey in the beginning of October. So I don't want to hear anybody give me shit about being on the outside looking in at Arizona State. However, in this Scatterboo, as we see him going crazy, I did not think that they were going to be able to hit Iowa State in the frickin' mouth the way they did and have Iowa State not respond. The one thing I did say was that if look at this run, dude.
He is unbelievable.
That's so much fun, right? I mean, seriously? Is this another one? No, okay. Yeah, it is. Watch. I mean, he just and today we'll find out, by the way, if he's invited to New York City for the Heisman. The invitations will go out. If he doesn't go to, it'd be the biggest bonehead move. He needs to go to New York City. He struck the Heisman pose, and after the game, they were like, "Hey, why'd you do that?" And he was like, "Because I'm the most underrated player in America."
Yeah, and he is.
And he might not anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, after that,
he put the world on notice Saturday. No,
but I was shocked that I knew Iowa State couldn't get down. And if they got down, they'd be in trouble, because I love Rocco Beck, but I just don't think that they have that in their bag to come back, especially from like when they got down like that. I was like, forget about it. What did you see in Arizona State that made you think that they would win like that overwhelmingly, by the way?
It's the way that they've won in the last few weeks. It's they have won big. They have won physical. So like you were talking about punch them in the mouth. That's what I thought would happen. Like they're going to be way more physical. Iowa State and just like Iowa State did not finish the season playing their best football, and Arizona State did. Like Iowa State was playing their best football like early October, you know? And so and I texted you, Cinderella's going to the ball, right? Like I loved the Coach Dillingham story of like, he's in his early 20s. He's like, I'm going to come back here and be the coach.
Yeah.
And then he does it. And now they go from 3 wins to this. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of their mentality, their physicality.
It's a really cool story.
It's a fun team to watch.
I really, and here's the thing, and let's pop that bracket up one more time. So they'll be playing that second round game. I think it's a Peach Bowl game. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that game's going to be in Atlanta, in a dome, where they just showed us their ability to like kick somebody's ass. Like, I think climate controlled environments are huge for teams like Arizona State.
And even better,
like if Arizona State's on that screen going to play Penn State, like we looked at last week, they're toast. Like that's huge.
No, I agree with you on that. Yeah. Well, and here, not only are they playing in the Peach Bowl in that first matchup, but if they were to win, the next one is Cotton Bowl. They'll be back in AT&T Stadium in Dallas.
No kidding.
Yes. So it lines up really like and I am a hater, Pete. I am a hater. I think Texas is fraudulent. They also have not beat a ranked team this season. And so like, I think Arizona State has a really legitimate shot here to get to the Final Four.
If they could draw Oregon.
I think that's going to be the Final Four.
So who's your Final Four?
Should I tell you now or should I save it?
Save it. That's right. You got to save it.
So later this week, we're all gonna do that, right? Rogue Sports team is gonna do our brackets.
Me, you, Zach, Cam.
I will tell you my final.
You gotta let Mike do it?
If he wants to, yeah.
I guess.
I will tell you my Final Four does not include an SEC team.
I mean, look, I'm not. I know you're upset about the SEC.
I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I think they seeded them correctly. I think there's unlike in years past, there's not one SEC team that I think is so dominant they can't be beat.
Okay.
I think they're all very vulnerable.
All right, we'll step aside. The Pete Souza Show, powered by Slovacek's, Crawford Austin Properties, all the sponsors, Socorro Family Ford, D1, and of course, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. A lot more to cover. So you got to stay with us. And I've been appreciating some of the movement we're getting with this show, some of the feedback. We're going to keep it going after this.
It's the Pete Souza Show. Sports.